Now, I went through a lot. We're 42 minutes in. Your brain may be slightly fried, which is perfectly understandable. So Kyle had a question. JP, nothing's a dumb question, but we've been using ChatGPT almost exclusively. We're looking at transition to Claude as Claude appears to have much more functionality for what we need. Does ChatGPT connect to Claude on that question so that all of our work is transferable, or do we need to rebuild in Claude? You know, I mean, you really answer the question why Claude Code and Claude Cowork have been so successful. So this is what I do. And we talked about it in last class. We talked in a few classes. Whether it's Relevance AI, whether it's Dust.t, whether you're in Microsoft Copilot, whatever system that you're in, you need to abstract the information you have from the tool that you're using, because next month, there's going to be another tool. The month after, there's going to be another tool. And then the month after, there's going to be no more tools because AI is going to rule the world. So what I always try to do is, and I had this problem early on, but in 2024, I was like, there's all this information stuck in this chat. How the hell am I going to get it out? What I do is I build comprehensive exports, and the file format I use is Markdown. The reason why I use Markdown, and I think we talked about it before, is like, you guys remember back in the day, so there was text editor, which kind of has no formatting, and then there was RTF, rich text format. RTF is very similar to Markdown. All it does is it pushes some dots and slashes and dashes. So whenever you're looking at it, it looks nice and pretty with headers, bold, font type, italics, basic stuff like that. So what I would do is I would have your favorite or second or now third favorite LLM to extract all that context within Markdown files. Unfortunately, you got to download all these files into a file folder. But again, now start not storing information inside the LLM, sort into files. And so you never have to stress out about another file or information disappearing. Now, some of the reasoning and back and forth, you don't really need that. I didn't store every single thing in that chat, which you could. You could store all the chat into another file as well. But typically, that's not really what you're concerned about, right? And I've had the same issue. But now that you've got a file separately, whether it's Relevance, whether it's Claude, whether it's the next new cool application that comes out there, the context file is abstracted from the tool that you're using. And these LLMs and these things have what's called tooling. So tooling could be search the internet. For example, I was looking for a domain, right? So, a lot of us have gone GoDaddy, domain available. Well, now there's a lot of tools out there that can connect. Like in my case, I use Relevance.ai. Many people use Zapier. I was just talking to a buddy of mine earlier today, and their company uses Zapier to kind of connect to all these different things. You are just disconnecting those two functions. So I don't know, maybe, Evan, you're up to bat coming up, and we'll make a quick intro. Any thoughts on that question that Kyle has asked? Because I think all of us have had that experience.
So, I mean, at Oxus, we just give people however much money they want per month to do whatever AI they want. And it seems that as long as, the big thing is just the memory of your agent across whatever workload you're doing. And as long as that can be essentially marshaled between whatever it is, it doesn't really become a problem. And we've actually kind of stopped using chat, to be honest. So we're pretty much either Claude or Gemini, because we are not a Microsoft shop. We are a Google Docs shop, since day one. And so that kind of really fits nicely into our workload. But again, you gotta do the best tool for the job. And I think JP's right, is that like figuring out how to move between them is critical, because the next day, like we're getting ready for Sonnet 5, I think, like apparently it leaked. So like there's going to be a new model for Claude, which may make Gemini, 3 Flash, superfluous. So that's just one of those things that I think you've got to be just kind of strategic about. It's not impossible. It's a huge pain in the butt, but I would say that the other thing is that it's just kind of great practice to be documenting these things, because like it will run out of context and it won't tell you sometimes. And then you're just like, why are you so dumb? Like, and it's because it's like goldfish memory. And so that's kind of how I would say that.
I would agree, which kind of follows on to this next question. Privacy issues of giving all your emails files to any of the AI companies. The answer is yes, but. And I'm sure Evan will talk about this as we go into Claude Code. Again, if you're recontextualizing where you store data. Now, our team is pretty big. We have data engineering, we have infrastructure, we have cybersecurity, we have software developers, we have an entire software development lifecycle, we have an AI engineering team, we have data scientists, modelers, analysts. So we've got a pretty large infrastructure to manage this problem. But most companies don't have, right? Or you're going to have to hire a legion of consultants and it's cost you a fortune to do some basic stuff. By having the files and stuff on your machine. Now, I loosely say machine because I don't like this stuff laying on a laptop. That's not really a great idea. But if it's in some kind of secure location and then the LLM model is able to process the context of it, then yes, there is some value. And Evan, you can actually chime in on this because you mentioned the Google ecosystem, which I know that Microsoft had, what is it, $340 billion market pull down last week or some crazy number. I can't remember the exact number. And I told you guys last 2 or 3 classes ago, honestly, for the even middle market company, and Evan, you're an anomaly, which is really exciting to kind of get your perspective. We use Google or we use Microsoft for our company. And there's not really, I mean, maybe somebody has some like third-party application that's doing it, but they kind of dominate on email. Now, Gemini is already integrated with the entire Google ecosystem. We did an entire class on just Google's integration with everything, and that makes sense. You kind of have to pick and choose your poison. Yes, the enterprise LLM companies, I think, is very paranoid and markets this a lot. Safety and security is like all they talk about. I mean, all day and night. Microsoft, reason why our Microsoft Azure ecosystem is it's easy for onboarding, offboarding, security protocols around, new employees, access rights and stuff like that. Google has their ecosystem as well. But because we have a full entire ecosystem for software development and we picked literally 9 years ago .NET as kind of our stack, we play nice with all the other tools that are out there, and we are a very experimental type culture. But we also have cybersecurity paranoia around privacy. So you kind of have to be like, what are the stuff that you don't want any model to touch except internally controlled models? For us, we have 50 million people who've applied for loans across the platform. So, and we've got 7 different lending operations and portfolios as clients to manage. So we have to have extreme security, right? PII, so security numbers, account numbers, routing numbers, bank, debit cards, credit cards, anything. It's a treasure trove of cybersecurity nightmare, right? We don't let any LLM touch any of that stuff directly. If we want to do analysis with data scientists on some of the stuff, they can't even look at SSN. We use hash, basically encrypted number that represents the information. So they can use that as a proxy. But as of right now, we don't let any LLM, any model touch any of the direct PII. That being said, one of the really interesting experiments that we're going on right now is, this is a Teams meeting. You guys probably use Zoom or use Google Meet or whatever it is. There's an incredible amount of knowledge and information in your company that's already been captured. This meeting is being recorded. Microsoft will automatically transcribe, just like all the other meeting systems out there. That data goes into a repository. Well, now you can build almost instantaneous context file where these AI agents can kind of sit over this whole ecosystem and learn what are best practices in the company. Now, on one side, you might be like, oh my gosh, this is paranoia, it's a security risk, HR, all this other stuff. On the other side, it's already available. So are you using and creating value out of it, or just sitting in some secure repository that no one is ever going to use, which is 99% of everybody on this call, right? I think you've got to kind of pick and choose your balance. Can you create value from the tool and experience? Or are you just like letting it free for all? And we'll get to Claude Code after Evan talks about Claude Code. But the reality is you got to balance that question. And that's going to be the never ending thing.